My people were biologically determined for one purpose alone, to sense the coming of damn fine podcasts. I sense it coming now.
Hello, and welcome to a Discovery Home Companion. Your companion for Star Trek Discovery junk like a month after the thing comes out, I guess. But yeah, we're not doing it the same way as we did for season 1. My name is Wade Bowen. There's no James or Hugh here because they checked out. And, you know, if we get the Patreon to $500 a month, they'll be beholden to come back, though, you know, I don't know that they're that excited to.
You have to pay them to watch it.
Yeah, and then they'll have to. But, hey, if you want to make James and Hugh suffer, go to patreon.com/kickoverselves. But that's for the end of the podcast, I guess. With me right now is, you may remember this voice from the last podcast before the last Short Trucks thing. There's Lane Bowen.
Hello, this is Lane Bowen.
And we're just like Bowening the shit out of this one, I guess. Also with me, not just the two of us anymore, we have also Courtney Bowen over here.
Hey, guys.
Who listeners to the Rules of Acquisition may remember way back at the end of season 2 or so, I guess we talked to you.
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
Yeah. I've been through a lot since then, I guess.
See, more proof I'm a real person.
Yes.
This is my wife.
Doubling down. Yeah. They're married, but they have 2 lovely children, you know.
Yet one's much newer than the other.
Yeah.
Right. For all the conspiracy theorists out there, like, seriously though, like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I love you. No, I don't, but not in a weird way. Anyways, Lane and I talked last time about the last Short Trek Runaway. Now, there was another one that came out called Calypso. I thought maybe we'd talk about that.
Yeah. I didn't hate it as much, so I'm not sure if I'll have as much stuff to ramble and bitch about, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some stuff to say about it.
Okay. Yeah.
The strong opinion this time is with Courtney.
All right. Yeah. This one, you know, I was waiting to see what was going to be. This was the Michael Chabon scripted 15-minute short. So I liked it all right. What are the strong opinions on here?
Well, I was just thinking, you know, I've seen that Spike Jonze movie before. I felt like I was kind of watching it again.
Yeah, it's like
Her, is that what it was called?
Her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's her in space.
Yeah, her in space with some Wally thrown in.
Oh, yeah.
And some true name, Le Guin, Ursula.
Yeah, a little almost like, you know, not the more like, Hainish cycle almost or something.
Okay. That's an interesting.
Arguably, that's stretching it, but the name thing is Ursula, and then almost some Ecumen if you really stretch it, which would make it a lot more interesting, actually. I'm just trying to make it more interesting in my head.
I have to think Chabon knows all these things. It just felt like a little bit of a ripoff of several different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to put a pin in that because I didn't get any necessarily Ursula K. Le Guin jumping out at me.
Oh, it's a stretch.
But no, I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, that true name thing. And it could be like we're actually reading Earthsea with our son right now.
Yeah, so
it's kind of top of mind.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess I actually haven't rewatched this. I watched it twice, but it's been a little bit. So do either of y'all want to just do a quick summary of the plot? What happened in it again?
Okay, yeah. I watched it twice. I didn't tell you that I watched it without you before you watched it. So
I watched it for the first time like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I watched it like 20 minutes before that. So I watched it fairly recently, twice. So let's see, plot synopsis. There's a guy hurtling through space, and turns out it's an escape pod. He hurtles over the Discovery and gets caught in a tractor beam and pulled on board. Oh, he sees some Betty Boop cartoons and some flashes and stuff before he gets pulled in. He gets pulled on board the ship. He comes out of the pod. He's not sure. He gets something out of. He's trying to figure out where he's at. Gets a thing. Looks like it's a weapon. You get a hint that maybe he's some sort of fightery guy. The way he swings or twirls a weapon around. He starts talking to the ship, discovers that the ship's there's nobody else on board the Discovery, and it's been sitting there for, he doesn't know for how long at first. The ship they have some witty banter and some flirtations. Ship just picks out that he's some sort of soldier in, where was it? Arcos or some space place with
like
something 4.
Alcor 4 or something.
Alcor 4, yeah, because I remember that's right, it was Alcor, because I thought Mass Effect, the Elcor, I'm just go to my nerd levels, like there was an alien in Mass Effect called Elcor, and those were the elephantish weird ones, and Discovery seems very Mass Effect with, rip-offy in style to me, so it made me just
that's
brain
true.
connections.
I feel like if it is Alcor 4, I'm sure that's a reference that's been made in previous Trek somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because he has a tattoo of a Cyclops owl or some shit on his back.
That's what that was. I could never understand what it was. Some sort of bird thing, and I never understood what the computer said.
Right, the computer scans and is like, oh, I see that. That's how the computer knows where he's from, because that owl is indigenous to that place. Though the computer thinks that there's not human habitation on it.
Which actually I thought was a nice touch, because 1,000 years before, there probably were no humans there. It just shows that 1,000 years from there's been human habitations on these planets. The computer's out of touch for 1,000 years. And the idea, he's fighting, he's a soldier it's revealed, who stole an escape pod. So, and the people he stole the escape pod from had all these archives of historical films from old Earth, which is why there was Betty Boop playing on there. Mm-hmm. But he's actually fighting those people, so it implies that there's some sort of human diaspora in the future, and the humans are fighting against other factions of humans, which is where it came to where I made a veiled Earth, Le Guin reference as far as the Hainish cycle.
Oh, yeah.
You got human diaspora with different factions of humans.
Yeah.
And Le Guin, of course, they're all evolved to where they're almost separate species, potentially, but they're all human. This, not so much because of Star Trek, even 1,000 years. But I thought that was actually some interesting world building.
Oh, it gets even more interesting. There's some stuff that I know about that, but I'm going to wait for you to finish talking about the plot.
Okay, right. So where was I? And then the computer figures out that he's actually stole a ship and blah, blah, blah. They have witty banter. He's on there for an untold amount of time. They flirt some.
Computer really loves, what's the name of the movie?
Funny Face.
Funny Face, right.
Yeah, she introduces him to Taco Tuesday.
Right.
And chess before that. And then introduces him to her favorite movie, Funny Face.
They watched
chick flicks together.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he gets on a escape pod that she gives him, and he flies home.
Right, because first he's like, hey, they have their flirtation, and he's like, he tries to do something nice for her. So he dances the scene from Funny Face, and then he remembers he has a wife and kid from 10 years ago and feels guilty. And she's like, no, but it's okay, because they have their little banter, flirtation, you're a liar, no, you're a liar, that sort of thing.
Then she gives him a shuttle.
Right, so he does something nice for her with the Funny Face dance scene, and she gets to dance with him as a hologram.
And the shuttle that she gives him to go home says Funny Face.
Right,
his name.
Yeah, she gave it a name because he doesn't have a name that he will tell her, and then it turns out that his people, their partners, give them their names or whatever, I guess. And so she gives him Funny Face, and he flies off. Right.
Right. It just goes to the Lugan name thing, we're just reading Earthsea with our kids, so. She asks him his name. He tells her one thing. That's not his real name. Then he goes by Kraft, but that's not his name. She calls him a liar. And then at the end, he reveals, what he said.
Yeah.
If my true name, tell me your true name. Well, if we were really lovers, you would have given me my true name. And said, well, maybe I did.
And then it's Funny Face.
I named you after Audrey Hepburn.
Yep.
Right. And then he flies off.
And to where he may or may not ever make it home to his family.
Right. Because, the title of this one was Calypso, and you know the significance of that.
Oh, is that a Greek mythology thing?
It's the Odyssey. He's Odysseus.
Yeah.
Odysseus is famous for being crafty. His name's Craft. Calypso is the island where he gets waylaid, and he stays on the island of Calypso with Circe for a long time, and stays on Circe, has sex with her a bunch, falls in love with Circe. She turns his crewmates into pigs or whatever, but that doesn't happen because she's a nice witch, I guess. So that's the whole conceit is like, and then Michael Chabon apparently was like, I want to keep doing this and keep telling the whole Odyssey with this guy. And probably, what's his face was like, no, we're not going to do that. But we're going to bring you on for the Old Man Picard show.
Yeah. Which, the fear, I guess, we thought was what? That they do a time jump in. Well, this is the Discovery. So the Discovery has been sitting there for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And so the crew, in theory, is dead or gone. They could tie this into a series later by saying, oh, they were like in a time displacement thing, and they're going to come back and find the ship and pick it up there in 1,000 years in the future. Do you remember our problem with that?
Well, no, I was thinking like I'd be kind of glad if this whole crew was dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I did like I like this guy better than really any of the crew members, even the ones I do like. Okay, I've already liked this guy better than all of them. And the ship, after 1,000 years, gets to get her own personality, and she's also more interesting than any of the crew members from the Discovery.
Right.
Actually, the love angle is more interesting than like that Ash Tyler,
that's
Michael Burnham stuff.
They've got a better relationship than Ash Tyler and Michael Burnham. It's more developed and more believable than they'd got in a whole fucking season.
Right.
And they spend 15 minutes and get a better, more believable love story with the freaking her.
So let's just kill off the crew.
Yeah. And, the fact that she says, like, nobody's ever done anything nice for me before. They don't. They just asked for the ship to give them everything.
Yeah.
The ship's the giving tree, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And Discovery's a bunch of assholes. They don't do a nice thing for their ship in 1,000 years, apparently.
Well, they maybe left it for 900, so it had to develop its own consciousness or anything. And
that's true.
The other interesting world-building thing for me, and Michael Chabon actually verified it, like he's on Alcor 4 or whatever, fighting against the Fed Reich is the name of the enemy that he has. And Fed Reich is over 1,000 years. The word has devolved. I forgot what exactly you call that kind of word. But Fed Reich was originally Federation, and it gets kind of bastardized to where he's actually fighting, and it's more of almost the Le Guin stuff. Like,
that's cool.
He's fighting against the Federation. Like Alcor 4 was like a colony,
cool,
foreseeably, and then somewhere the Federation collapsed, and then I guess that's even Foundation.
Yeah,
but yeah, that the idea that he was fighting against whatever the Federation turned into. And somebody was asked, like on Instagram, because that's where Michael Chabon interacts on social media, I guess, was like, wait a minute, is Fed Reich, is that actually Federation? And he's like, yeah, actually, yep, it was. You caught on.
It's like, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
cool. Here's the thing, though. Like, if they did that when they jumped forward and they turned that into a Discovery season, that'd be fine, except it'd piss me off because that's a good idea. This should not be on a Discovery. That should be its own show. Like we were saying, like
with an interesting crew,
right? An interesting,
right.
That's its own Star Trek show. Don't shoehorn Discovery into a more interesting show because you couldn't make Discovery interesting.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's
the fear.
Michael Chabon was like, well, I mean, I guess it's after the Fed Reich or whatever, the war. But he's like, I just would love to just do wouldn't it be great to do just a mini series, just going through the whole Odyssey with this Craft guy? It's like,
yeah.
All right, sure,
yeah.
But. And you wouldn't even have to use the Discovery at all because he left the island of Calypso, I guess. Or you could bring it.
That's true.
But of course.
See, that series would be cool. And then you have Discovery as just an Easter egg in that series. And hey, I'm on board. That sounds more interesting. I'd watch that before. Just don't do more like Discovery Season 1 and I'm okay.
Right. But they're not going to do that.
Nope.
I mean, and they probably said, but hey, wouldn't you love to do a show with Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard? And he's like, okay, sure. Fingers crossed that turns out okay. They announced an air date kind of for that. It's going to be at the end of 2019, but like, yeah, no shit, because they had to have something to follow up Discovery Season 2, or else they're in the Star Trek business. They have
to have something for Picard to do.
Right. But we could talk about that after. I guess we could still talk about this episode, this 15-minute short trek.
Oh, yeah. So what?
The stuff that you hated mostly was just that it was her.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a little derivative.
Yeah.
You know, that it just not very original.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'd known the Odyssey stuff better.
Yeah.
See, now it's coming back to me because I read those, Rick Riordan books with Cleve. Like, oh yeah, there was one of those that had a whole Odyssey plotline in it. Okay.
Yeah. People have been cribbing from the Odyssey for a long time, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
And I really don't like the whole trope of like, when we watch old movies, like old romantic movies. Like
Yeah.
that whole Wall-E kind of thing.
Yeah, so like, Wally's got, what was it,
Some old Michael Crawford.
Hello Dolly or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this was like, instead of Hello Dolly, let's use Funny Face. And
Some musical.
right.
Yeah.
And it's always from the 20th century. Well, I guess it has to be, but
Yeah.
still.
I mean, I don't really like musicals that much, and so when like using Funny Face and that whole dance sequence was a little too cute by half for me to an extent.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like, what, it's Star Trek holodeck shenanigans basically. I won't get too butthurt over it. I see, there's a legacy of Star Trek doing these kinds of things. I'll let it go, but it wasn't my favorite. And I will say that my partner, I watched it with my significant other, and she was like, "Oh, that was a lot better than the last one," but that was stupid. She didn't like the Funny Face stuff at all.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I was like, it was fine. It wasn't bad, and that's the thing. As opposed to pretty much all the other Discovery stuff, this is not really even just quite Discovery. Hey, it was at least well executed for what it was.
Yeah, it seems like there's interesting stuff on the periphery, but
Right.
the main thing itself,
Yeah.
Right. So like all the
forgettable.
the world building in the background sounded really cool to me. I liked all that stuff, but the meat of it was just kind of like, okay, a machine falls in love with a person. Oh, but is she, she's a machine, so is it real? Okay. Oh, let's get our pop culture reference that we bond over. Scene.
Yeah.
I did like the actor.
Yeah.
I didn't catch his name, but I thought he was really good. Like, a lot of times Star Trek actors are, it's a little overblown and over the top.
Especially when it comes to a romance, tends to be a little wooden.
Trek romance is just creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Like, it's never done well.
I mean, and this one, I guess, is still a little creepy because it's one of the
more believable.
Yeah, it's like he had chemistry, kind of like her. It's like, it was a very good movie, and Scarlett Johansson's voice has good chemistry with who was it? Jude Law, I forget. Anyway, whoever's in that movie, I can't remember. But it's a good movie. I liked it. Mm-hmm. This was the same basic idea, but with the Odyssey now. And anyway, yeah.
Aldous Hodge, that's who it is.
Yeah, I couldn't help but wonder. It's like, okay, he's got kind of that dancer's body. Is he like a Was he? I don't know.
He's probably just a trained actor that had to do a lot of dance.
Yeah, I got that feeling. I was like, he's probably done a fair share of dancing before this. Not saying he's only a dancer. He's clearly a very good actor, but
yeah.
I bet he's done his fair share of dancing stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It was still like very kind of subdued and not just
yeah,
goofy over the top.
Yeah,
yeah. No, he was good. I mean, I don't hate all the actors on Discovery, so I mean, I like.
I don't mind,
but
I feel like I have to. It's like I don't dislike the actors. I just think they're giving such terrible stuff to work with that they don't necessarily rise above the material. But that's not their fault,
right?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean like that Star Trek actors are necessarily bad.
No,
it's just that especially with romance, like they usually get a little
traditionally romance. Even the actors that we love when they do romance in Trek, it's usually pretty cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Oh, we just recorded some stuff with Kira and Odo for Rules of Acquisition, and
it's kind of painful to watch.
With you there, and good old Vic Fontaine. Anyways, that's another podcast. But yeah, so I mean, that's Short Trek Calypso. I don't know if y'all have anything else to talk about for that.
Not really. I guess the next one gets out tomorrow. By the time this is released, it will have already been seen by everybody who heard this, because anybody who's going to listen to this has probably seen those. Or maybe not. Maybe people just listen to this to figure out if it's worth... I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps by the time you're listening to this, you've already seen the next one.
That's my point.
It's a Saru story. The Brightest Star, I believe, is the name of it.
Yeah.
Where you meet Saru's sister, and it's like an origin story for him, I guess, on the Kelpian planet.
Yeah, that's one of those like, oh, I want that to be good. Oh, that could be real bad.
Yeah, that has a lot of room to not be.
Imagine like a Kelpian bad like Christmas special. It makes it seem like it's like, you know, a really bad like one of those like later Grinch cartoons that nobody remembers because they weren't as good, and you know they just threw the Grinch in and tried to make another
holiday special,
Christmas special, and it was, you know,
I just like, we're gonna meet Saru's wife, smelly and stinky, and his grandpa for the holiday special.
Yeah.
And then B. Arthur's going to sing a number. Oh,
that would be... Yeah.
Actually, I'd be there for that. I would love if hologram B. Arthur.
I think the logistics might be kind of hard for this, because, I mean, like, the reason, like, Saru is so cool is, like, because Doug Jones just looks like an alien.
Yeah, Doug Jones pulls off the...
Yeah.
How do you find other actors to look that weird and alien?
Right. I know I saw today the actor that plays his sister is an improviser in LA. I don't know if she's like
yeah,
go either way.
It's gonna be like, she's gonna be little Cindy Saru.
Yeah,
in a very special episode.
So
we'll see. Brightest star, a very Kelpian Christmas.
Right. So we'll see how that turns out. Maybe I can get y'all back to talk about that. So, I mean, that's most of the short treks.
Yep, that's all I got.
Also, as far as new Star Trek goes, I guess I don't know that there's any new developments in the Picard show since I last talked to you, Lane, other than it's going to be airing at the end of 2019, which everybody's talking like that. Oh my God, they announced dates. It's like, but of course they're going to do it at the end of. They're going to do it after Discovery finishes, and they're not going to have it done quick enough because they'll want it to come out immediately so that they can keep their Star Trek business going. Otherwise, they're going to lose all subscribers.
It's kind of like when they announce a video game is going to be done before the end of the year, and then it gets pushed back to February. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens.
Right.
But, you know, but they won't do that because they'll rush it is the worst thing. Because when they do that with video games, the video game's usually better when they do push it back. But
if they push it back for reasons other than like we had to fire a showrunner, like then I'd be like, okay. If they push it back like we're going to take time to do it right, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
As long as there's not all this shit happening up behind the scenes that we all know that they're not talking about because it's show business.
The idea that we're going to push it back to do it right, I don't see that happening. So.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's the cover story,
right? That's what they always say.
Yeah.
Like,
right. But again, it seems like they're not going to have to fire Brian Fuller from that.
Yeah,
they got Patrick Stewart on board with Michael Chabon. It's just how much is what's his name? He who shall not be named. I talked so much shit about the guy, now I can't even remember his name. Mr. Dark Universe, Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah.
I wonder how much he's producing from behind the scenes.
I'm hoping this just, get his name on there. Let Chabon do it. But Chabon's not a TV guy, so I'm afraid he'll have too much influence. Not Chabon, but Kurtzman.
Right. Yeah, but we'll see. And then, did we talk about like who they cast as Spock?
Oh no, I hadn't heard of anything since. I've not been following anything.
Oh, it's Anson Mount is his name. Anson Mouth, Hands in Mouth. That's how I remember his name.
It's a really unfortunate name.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Anson Mount is playing Captain Pike. He might be fine. Ethan Peck is Gregory Peck's grandson, who's playing Spock. Yeah, he's Gregory Peck's grandson. So.
Oh, cool.
Yes, but actually, I think I hate him.
Oh, so no.
That's him. He's a handsome guy that's played handsome guy roles. I was like, well, fuck. But everybody's like, oh, it's Gregory Peck's grandson. That means he's going to be good. It does not. I've only seen him in one thing. He was in a Netflix Christmas movie that.
Oh no.
My significant other made me watch about a magic advent calendar. And he was fucking horrible. I hated him so much. And then but by these kinds of movies, it's hard to judge somebody by.
That's true.
After the movie was over, I was like, who was that guy? He was fucking awful. And then it's like Anson. It's like, oh no, not him, no, because he's the most dull wooden. Hey, I'm a pretty guy. Like, it's awful. And he's got an awful and they're trying to sex him up, I guess, as Spock. And
jeez.
Giving him a beard. and it looks bad.
That sounds terrible. Like,
No.
I mean,
It's not.
yeah, I know you can't get Zachary Quinto, which is,
Yeah.
he's the only guy who really should be doing it, because we should keep as few people playing that role as humanly possible. You already had to hand it out once,
Right?
But you can't get that guy to do it because I guess he's too big for your stupid show now. Even though he got to start on an equally bad show, but anyway,
Right. Well, it's also rights issues because he was a Paramount Spock, and they're they don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
and this is CBS. This is for TV, and
so many reasons that wouldn't work. But the solution is just don't fucking do Spock. That's what. Yeah. Anyway,
but reviews were so bad for the last season, and they're like, wait, no, we know what people want. They just want the dumb, same old Star Trek shit. We're gonna give them Captain Pike as the new captain, and it's going to be all about saving Spock.
Jeez.
Grown.
But
you know what?
With an actor who's coasted on the fact that he's pretty and Gregory Peck's grandson, who never had to be good.
Right.
What could go wrong?
So I don't want to be... I want to be positive about it. It could end up being great. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Surprise me.
Yeah, well, they can only surprise me at this point by being good. My expectations are, I feel
like that's how I went into Discovery, was like, oh, maybe it's gonna be really good.
Yeah. Oh man, my expectations, and I fought for it. Like I complain every time I'm on here. I wanted to believe, and I defended that crap, and then they let me down real hard. So. There's no way they could really disappoint me more. They could only impress me by not sucking. Any level of not sucking is going to be, okay.
Yeah, so we'll see. But, you know what? Defy me, Star Trek. And maybe that animated show will be okay.
Oh, that's right.
With the Rick and Morty writer guy. Who knows? But I'm sure they just announced recently that the end of 2019 is going to be when they do the Picard show. I'm willing to take money. I'm willing to bet money that they're going to announce it's going to be early 2020 for that, because they're going to try to line it up once the Picard show is done to have the new Star Trek show on. Because they got to space this stuff out, because they can't ever not be making Star Trek, because otherwise
who's going to pay for that? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what else I have to talk about.
Yeah. And I didn't have any witty sign-off last time. I didn't want to steal Hugh's thing.
But it was good having both of you on here.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Courtney, it's good to have you back on the thing.
So it's not just a guy talking to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe next time...
some bad mirror universe.
Or just me hacking into the microphone, you get that too.
Sexy.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we won't belabor the point. This has been another Discovery Home Companion, a name we chose when Garrison Keillor wasn't quite Me Too'd yet.
So, how can we make a spinoff with Kevin Spacey reference? And
yeah, maybe I might cut out all the Garrison Keillor talk here. Anyways, if you want to...
who's funny? That Louis C.K. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry.
If you want to let us know about what you thought about this Chabon short or any of the other short Trek stuff, if you think that I'm just being a real jerk to Gregory Peck's grandson, what did he ever do to me? They didn't do anything, but fuck him. But if you think I'm being a jerk and that I should be more positive, or any of us should be more positive about the future of Star Trek, at me, bro, at 917-408-3898. And you can check out the Kickers of Elves Patreon at patreon.com/kickersofElves, and the Hashish and Superiority Book Club podcast for completely non-Star Trek related talk about Alan Moore's big, huge ass book. But that's all I got.
Yeah.
All right.
Witty tag sign off. Insert here.
This has been a podcast.
All right. Oh, all right. Well, there we go.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Caster or Fuckcast or Podsucker. Review us on iTunes. Also grab a bit of fame for yourself by calling us at 917-408-3898 and leaving us a message. We play that shit on air. Or email us at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. Also, listen to our Deep Space Nine podcast rules of acquisition. It is pretty amazing, but you may not yet be ready for its awesome amazingness. Assess your personal awesomeness appropriately.